baik tu dia jadi mereka tahu रेडियो फिजी बहुत रेडियो फिजी रोज सुनता हूँ
रेडियो Fiji 2 देश की धड़कन.
In the news tonight, police probe alleged school beating. Pharmacists abusing legal loopholes. And later in sports, we will have all the action from the Los Angeles Sevens.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spade.
Investigators have been directed to find out whether an alleged brutal beating of a student at a prominent school in Tailevu last year was ever referred to police. The incident came to light last night after a 3-minute video showing the alleged assault was uploaded to Facebook. The video shows a group of students taking turns to beat another student with a piece of timber. Koroi Tondolala with the story.
This video was exposed on Facebook by a girl after she found it on her brother's Messenger account. The girl, wishing to remain anonymous for fear of being victimized, says she was shocked to see the video, which was being widely shared among her brother's friends, who are all students at the same school where the alleged assault occurred. Police have identified the victim, and now investigators have been tasked to find out whether the matter was reported after school authorities were alerted.
What we are now doing is trying to go back into the history of the incident, because apparently it was recorded about a year ago, and we want to find out whether it was reported to police after it was initially highlighted to the school authorities or not, and that's something that investigators have been directed to look into.
Naisoro highlighted during meetings with the teachers previously, the Commissioner of Police had urged them to report such matters.
We had actually raised this issue last year, and I think comment was also made by the Commissioner of Police, where he stated that the ministry, all teachers should rightfully report all matters to police. Let us do the investigations, and if there is a criminal element, we will pursue the necessary laws and lay charges if the situation calls for it. But they cannot just brush it aside.
At least one student has been questioned. Police say they are working on identifying the rest of the students who were involved in the alleged assault. FBC News has made several attempts to get a comment from the Ministry of Education, but it has been futile. Koroi Tondolala, FBC News.
Meanwhile, this afternoon, the Ministry of Education said it strongly condemns violence in any form, reinforcing its zero-tolerance policy on any form of violence or abuse in schools. In a statement, it says once an incident is reported, it is mandatory for heads of schools to report the matter to police, take the student for medical examination and duly inform the parents. It adds that heads of schools are tasked by the ministry to take up such responsibilities and ownership. A warning has been issued to individuals and companies who continue to breach the ban on the harvest, purchase and sale of beach demur in Madhuwata. Last week, proposals were put forward to the Madhuwata Provincial Council for the suspension and subsequent cancellation of the business license of companies buying the banned marine species. Eleanor Tarangai View reports there are concerns that some local divers are being used and paid by such companies to dive for beach demur.
Calls have been made to impose strict penalties against those diving for beach demur and more harsh penalties to be dished out to those encouraging the practice.
I am proposing that this council give permission for the strict monitoring of the sale of the beach demur, and those who are caught pay a $5,000 fine.
Speaking at the Madhuwata Provincial Council meeting last week, the Tui Madhuwata Ratu William Ekatonivere did not mince his words, condemning those behind the continuous breach of the ban.
I am going to speak as a chief of this province and not as a board chair. So if you are in Madhuwata, but is not originally from here, and engage in the illegal harvesting of beach demur, I want you to leave as soon as possible. And I'm calling on the help of police and fisheries to do this.
There is currently a total ban on the harvest, purchase and sale of sea cucumber, which was put in place by the Ministry of Fisheries in September 2017.
Again, as a chief of this province, I want to know who is diving for it and who is buying it. It is heartbreaking because there are chiefs here who have fishing grounds and I lead the conservation efforts, and yet this is happening.
Fisheries Officer Northern Epeli Tawake says several individuals have been charged for breaching the ban, while they are currently investigating others, and a company director is also being investigated for purchasing the banned marine species. Eleanor Turangaiwiu, FBC News.
It's been discovered that certain pharmacy owners are taking advantage of the loopholes in the ownership laws. The Fiji Pharmaceutical Society has found cases where an individual is breaking the law by controlling more than one pharmacy. Society President Rinal Chan says under the law, a registered pharmacist can have only one outlet, but there are instances where ownership laws have been exploited through false information. Kritika Kumar reports.
The Pharmacy Profession Board and the Society have been investigating such matters, but they don't have powers to take further actions.
The way it is done is very creative. It's not entirely clear how this structure is working, and very little has been done in regards to addressing this issue.
Rinal Chan says another issue is people owning pharmacies despite not having any qualifications, which is not allowed under the Pharmacy Profession Act.
The Pharmacy Professions Act states that non-pharmacists are not to have any sort of beneficial or proprietary interest in the pharmacy, but if I'm sure the consumers are aware, there are pharmacy chains, for example, and you can tell by the name of the pharmacy.
The Health Minister says the pharmaceutical sector is independent.
The regulatory functions around pharmacy and around medicines are independent of Minister of Health or any other stakeholder, because it has to be done in such a way to protect our people, and that it has its own rules and regulations.
The Pharmaceutical Society believes the law is there to prevent people who are not pharmacists from having undue influence on the pharmaceutical industry. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
New Zealand continues to work alongside Fiji in advocating against climate change and its effects on the Pacific. New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Arden highlighted these efforts while speaking on FBC's Talkback show For the Record. Lena Rees has more.
Prime Minister Jacinda Arden says New Zealand continues to press for global action in reducing carbon footprints because every country is affected.
It's not for New Zealand to go in and tell an individual country what their domestic policy needs to be. But we will, of course, say every country needs to make sure they fulfil the Paris Agreement and recognise that they are directly affecting the future of the Pacific.
Arden said she felt strong acceptance and support on her first official visit to Fiji.
We could not have had a more welcoming visit. From the moment we arrived to every part of the trip, even just travelling here across through different villages, it's been incredible. We felt very warmly welcomed, particularly the welcoming kava ceremony. I found very moving.
New Zealand High Commissioner to Fiji, Jonathan Kerr, says the discussions held between the two leaders have led to a number of initiatives that will benefit both countries.
Well, I think the visit achieved a number of things from our perspective. I mean, first of all, there were some really fruitful discussions with the government of Fiji, with Prime Minister Bainimarama about some of the new initiatives that New Zealand and Fiji are going to embark on together.
Prime Minister Arden was in the country for 4 days last week when she also commemorated the fallen Fijians of the Christchurch massacre. Lena Rees, FBC News.
Health Minister Dr. Ifiremi Wanganambete has disclosed there were some issues with the payment of some community health workers. Dr. Wanganambete says this was a challenge as the workers were not able to produce their reports. He adds community health workers need to produce a comprehensive report to get the payments on time.
So there were a few challenges there with the payment of community health workers. I assured them that they will be paid, and also we need to make sure the Minister of Health mechanisms needs to make sure that we streamline the processes so that when they've done their work and they produce the paperwork that they're paid.
Up ahead, FBC Chief Executive Sue Sadelpa MP and court acquits alleged murder accused. Details after the break.
Nadang bawa prosesan ngerse, go erkraki, do televisi na barong na Radio Fiji 1, nandomo ibiti.
Radio Fiji 1, nandomo ibiti.
A defamation case filed by Fijian Broadcasting Corporation Chief Executive Riaz Said Qayyum against Sadelpa MP Niko Nawaikula was called in the Suva High Court this morning. Said Qayyum has taken Nawaikula to court seeking a public apology and damages over the MP's comments on social media. Edwin Nund has more.
In 2017, Nawaikula had allegedly posted that Syed Qayyum was responsible for the strike at air terminal services during his time as board chair. The MP had also posted about FBC's $21.5 million loan, questioning why it wasn't investigated by FICAC. Syed Qayyum took the stand today, arguing that Nawaikula was insinuating that the FBC chief executive was a crook, had poor management and was corrupt. He says his reputation suffered grave damage, his character has been maligned, and that his job as FBC CEO has been brought into public hatred, ridicule and contempt. The chief executive highlighted that he had not caused the strike at ATS, but had in fact tried to resolve the situation. Fijian Broadcasting Corporation has also filed a similar suit, claiming the posting by Nawaikula caused reputational damage in respect to listenership and viewership, loss of business and revenue. Fijian Competition and Consumer Commission Chief Executive Joel Abraham gave evidence that the FCCC had ceased advertising with FBC after Nawaikula's Facebook post so as not to get involved in allegations of procurement fraud. Nawaikula will call defense witnesses tomorrow. Edwin Nund, FBC News.
Saula Temo, who was previously charged for murder, is now a free man. Temo was acquitted by the Suva High Court after the judge found him not guilty. It was alleged that Temo caused the death of 23-year-old Aquila Salavuki at the Suva foreshore in May 2018. The judge said there was insufficient evidence to prove that Temo was at the scene at the time of the incident. A 24-year-old man who allegedly gave false information to an officer in relation to COVID-19 was denied bail by the Magistrates Court this afternoon. Simeone Sekonaya is charged with 2 counts of giving false information to a public officer and 1 count of malicious act. Sekonaya was initially given bail since there was no objection from the police prosecutor, and he is a first-time offender. However, he could not produce 2 sureties and subsequently bail was withdrawn. The court heard Sekonaya had presented himself to medical authorities last week, giving false personal details, and claimed he had recently returned from overseas and was not feeling well, having experienced symptoms of coronavirus. He disappeared after making the claims, and upon checking his travel history, it was discovered the accused had never left the country. Turning overseas, one country that is struggling to contain the coronavirus outbreak is South Korea. The leader of a religious sector is under investigation, with failing to cooperate with efforts to contain the virus, with more than 9,000 of its members thought to be showing symptoms of the disease. And Apanisa joins us now with the latest from business.
Thanks, Jackie. Coming up after the break, Business Council aims to increase trade, and in growing Fiji, census data verification begins. Stay with us.
My name is Neha and I'm from Kadavi, and Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Leading business, the newly established Fiji-India Business Council aims to further increase trade and investment between the 2 countries. President Abe Nand says part of the reason they formed the council is to improve the export estimates and arrange for regular and effective consultation between business and enterprises. Nand says they are also looking at arranging trade visits between the 2 countries.
We've been trading with India for the last 100 years, right? And still we can see that our trading with India is not much. We import close to about 60 million US dollars from India, and our export is less than $1 million US to India. So we're looking at what we can do.
Sinifa from HFC Bank joined us now with the latest from the stock market.
Let's review the trading on the South Pacific Stock Exchange last week. Over 297,000 shares were traded, amounting to more than $1.6 million. 9 stocks recorded trades, with 6 noting share price changes. Atlantic and Pacific Packaging Company Limited strengthened by 5 cents to close at $1.75. Paradise Beverages Fiji Limited recorded further growth of $4.75, ending the week at $22.75. RB Patel Group shares rose by 1 cent to end the week at $3.70. BSP convertible notes rose by $1 and ended the week at $27. Meanwhile, Port and Arau Marina Limited shares fell by 15 cents, closing at $2.65, and FHL shares dropped 9 cents to conclude the week at $1.21. Resultant to the various share price changes, the overall market value rose by 0.54% to a value of $3.88 billion. That's a wrap from our local stock market and from HFC Bank, Vinaka.
Here are today's exchange rates as set this morning. As the world's exchange indexes cope with trade wars and virus worries, the Fiji dollar was making moderate gain against the currencies of our two major trading partners, Australia and New Zealand, and slipped slightly against the other currencies we cover. Commodity prices were falling. The price of crude oil continued to drop to near $45 per barrel. Gold was down by more than $40 at $1,596 an ounce, and silver closed down at $16.89 per ounce. The Ministry of Agriculture has wrapped up its census count and will now focus on a post-enumeration survey. Census Coordinator Sarah Mbose says at the end of the census count on February 29th, more than 80 households had been counted. Maggie Boyle reports.
The comprehensive census covered 4 subsectors of agriculture, including livestock, crops and sugar, fisheries and forestry.
This enables us to identify errors committed during the actual exercise itself. We are able to identify some of the discrepancies in the count, in the total number of count that was conducted during the actual census exercise.
And with the Ministry of Agriculture conducting the census themselves, it's been a steep and momentous learning curve.
Some of the lessons that we have learned in terms of an organization that actually collects and compile data, we have sort of, were able to build on our capacity in terms of collating and compiling data.
While there were issues with connectivity and mobility at the start of the census, the average count numbers ended up better than forecast.
The average number of households that has been completed each day is around, I would say, 4,000.
A preliminary report on the 2020 agriculture census is expected in April. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
That's it from Business Tonight. Jamie joins you now with the latest from sports.
Thanks, Apanisa, and good evening in Sports Tonight. Heartbreak for Fiji in LA Sevens final. A new Flying Fijians coach officially starts today. This and more coming up.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
The Fiji Airways Fiji Sevens side could not hang on to a 19-0 lead over South Africa in the Los Angeles Sevens final this morning. The national side were outmuscled after the break and went down 24-29 in extra time. There are some concerns as well after speedster Amniasi Tuimamba was taken off the field early in the match. Aquila Dhama has the details.
Good work across the line. They've done it.
The try that denied Fiji's 4th title in USA, and it was really a tale of two halves with the national side taking out the first.
22 and now the offload for Villamoni. Northern Athangi straightening through Northern Athangi. Petito across to the left, not required. Sevu, Northern Athangi, Umbalatha needing support easy. Oh no, they've done it again.
The 19-0 lead was cut short when Stedman Gans struck for the blitz box. Jerry Tuai put Fiji further ahead with their 4th try. But with a minute and 15 seconds left to play, this happened.
Into the Fijian defensive ball, and Davids is on hand. Getting it out in front, JC Pretorius for Dry. Oh boy, the blitz boxer Pre goes out the back. Bronco to Pre, a try.
Some may call it heartbreak, but the Fiji Rugby Union is proud of the team's effort in Los Angeles.
We have a target for the World Cup, for the Olympics. We need to be the top-ranked team if we want to get a favorable ranking in the World Olympics. The boys know how important these two tournaments are.
Springbok Sevens coach Neil Powell says they had to believe in themselves in the final.
And just keep your composure. Let's stay in control of the situation. If we put two tries past them and win the game, then so be it. But we're going to look after the system.
It was a special win for South Africa after losing to Fiji 12-10 in Sydney, Australia last month. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
Fiji is now third on the World Series points table after the Los Angeles tournament. Fiji moved from 5th to 3rd with a total of 72 points. New Zealand remain at the top with 93 points, followed by South Africa with 89. France has dropped to 4th place with 67 points, while England round up the top 5. Meanwhile, Fiji demolished Australia 43-7 on its way to the final. Amniasi Tuimamba and Vilimoni Motitu scoring 2 tries each in the big win. Aquila Dama with the action.
Numbers.
Australia was one of the form teams at the LA Sevens, and they started well in the semi-final.
Long bottom, quick, skip ball for Miller. Miller, Williams out wide, try Australia.
But Fiji dominated the game afterwards and ruled the aerial battle, something that was missing early in the series.
Bakrin and Billy looking towards Tuimamba. Lays it off, Tuimamba. That's all he needs. He's a yard to work with. Tuai back to Northern Athangi beats Maluk. Oh, no way! How on earth has he done that? Tuimamba bouncing back infield and connecting with Vilimoni Motitu.
The halftime chat brought some life into the Aussies, but Fiji didn't give them an opportunity in the second spell.
And now Northern Athangi, who delivered one of the passes of the year moments ago, spins it away. Back for Motitu, who has 2. Tuipuaka, who is going all out. The tank is empty, but he's got just enough. Now getting to the outside, Tuai this time round. He finds the target in the form of Tuimamba. Gets past Australia with ease, and now plants down.
It was the first semi-final meeting between the two teams since the Hong Kong tournament in 2017. Aquila Dama, FBC Sports.
And early this morning, Fiji defeated England in the Cup quarter-final. The national side ran in 4 tries for the 26-5 win.
Bluffer cutting them open, looking for support, won't need it. He's done it again. Bluffer. Edwards, Johnson onto the park. The skip pass across to Bowen. The first up tackle is a miss, and Bowen launches towards the line. Northern Athangi, Motitu across the line, and the try.
I think I'm going to call this as try time.
Okay, Ben Ryan. Tabu gets in the backfield. Tambu, try Fiji. Nanduva infield won't be required, and it's another 5-pointer.
3 Fijian players were named in the HSBC World Sevens Dream Team following the Los Angeles Sevens. Aseli Tuipuaka, who had a great tournament, made the team along with Sibuloni Modinathangi and Napoleon Imbolada. JC Pretorius and Stadman Gans of South Africa, Australia's Lockie Miller and Carla Niles of the USA also made the team. Meanwhile, Mbolada was named the DHL Impact Player in LA with a total of 54 points, just pipping Amniasi Tuimamba and Gans of South Africa, who had 53 points each. New players in the Swire Shipping Fiji Warriors have big shoes to fill at the World Rugby Pacific Challenge this weekend. The Warriors have had a 6-year winning streak, and the young side believe they'll need to work extra hard to defend the title. Venina Rakautonga has more.
The Fiji Warriors will have to bring their A game if they are to retain their title.
You know, they need to come up and put on the best performance so that you know, they can be able to defend the title again this year. But you know, for them, it's doing the small things right.
Player Christopher Minimbi believes the players must display the right attitude during the game.
Yeah, it's a huge step up for a lot of the boys, but even though because of their age, the coaches are telling us it doesn't depend on the age. It's about your attitude and how you carry yourself on the field, and I think the boys are really stepping up, and yeah, it's going to be a great experience.
The first round of the Pacific Challenge will kick off this Friday. Junior Japan will play Samoa A at 2:30 p.m., while the Fiji Warriors will play Tonga A at 5 p.m. at the ANZ Stadium in Suva. Venina Rakau Tonga, FBC Sports.
Fiji Airways Flying Fijians' new head coach Vern Cotter has officially started work with Fiji Rugby. FRU Chief Executive John O'Connor says he's begun groundwork meeting players in France. O'Connor says Cotter will arrive in the country next month. He made the revelation during Coca-Cola Amatil Fiji's 3-year partnership announcement with FRU.
We've got a new coach who started today. He's left his job and he's working in France, meeting all the players, then goes down to UK. And with such a high performance coach and partnership that allows our players to grow and develop into a high performance environment with the support of sponsors like Cook, we're just thankful.
Lambasa coach Renil Lal expressed his disappointment after a 0-0 draw against Lautoka in their Round 5 Vodafone Premier League match yesterday. Lal was impressed with some players in his team and not so much with others.
Yes, we played well. We played well throughout the game. Only thing was scoring part was lacking, and I think so that's the main component of the game. In the 3/3, I think so we dominated. Majority of we dominated. I think so some players have really stood up today, but some really need to pull up their socks. It's a lot of hard work.
Lambasa remains in 5th place with 4 points after yesterday's match. Rewa is still leading the VPL table with 12 points. Lautoka is in 2nd place, followed by Nandi in 3rd. The top players from the Fiji Secondary Schools Cricket Tournament will be selected for the 2021 ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup qualifiers. Cricket Fiji Senior Development Officer Joeli Matayawa says the secondary school's round-robin competition is good preparation for the Under-19 qualifiers.
We will select, at the moment we are looking at selecting more than 2 teams or 3 teams so that we can send 1 team to the World Cup qualified and have 2 teams that they will have to fill in the position of the teams players from the teams that will compete in the 2021.
The date for the qualification rounds is set for next July but has not been officially confirmed by the ICC. That's it from sports tonight. Lena joins you with weather later on, and in new media, take a look at how a U.S. teen fooled Twitter and got a fake candidate verified. That's coming up.
My name is Neha and I'm from Kadavi, and Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
And it's weather time now with Lena.
There was warm, fine weather everywhere across Fiji today, complete with light scattered showers. In the west, it was a perfect day to enjoy a cooling beverage at a resort or air conditioning anywhere. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, partly cloudy skies generated a mixture of sun and refreshing showers. And up north, another fine sunny day. At sea, east to southeast winds at 10 to 15 knots and moderate seas. Turning to the tides, the next high tide is at 23 minutes after midnight, followed by low tide at 6:21 tomorrow morning, and sunrise is at 6:06. For tomorrow, expect another day like today, sunny and warm with some scattered showers over the interior of the larger islands and along eastern shores. Tomorrow's temperatures, all centers are expected to rise into the low to mid-30s, with Mba and Rakiraki the warmest. Looking further on to Wednesday, again another fine day, and the further outlook is Angie is back tomorrow. And that's the weather, Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Lena. In Fiji and Pulse tonight, we asked, how should schools and the Ministry of Education address bullying?
So main thing is you go to the family first. But the family, that's the one you can support for everything.
I think the ministry should review their policy because student beating another student is not a good sign.
I think it's in a very unfortunate situation where the students are being involved, and I think we should, as a part of the Ministry of Education, we should create an awareness of bullying more in the community and also amongst the schools and their peers. Not only that, we should educate parents on this and to discuss it with their children.
What the Ministry of Education should do is to create more awareness in schools, and school heads and teachers should be aware of the roles played by school prefects in schools.
I think bullying has other factors. The ministry and schools should look into it immediately. This can be because of not enough food in boarding school and even overcrowding.
In the world of the weird and the wonderful, a Russian freediver has set a record for swimming the longest distance without a single breath. Recapping the main stories for tonight, police probe alleged school beating, pharmacists abusing legal loopholes, and Fiji loses at the Los Angeles Sevens final. Now for these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. Our poll question last week we had asked, is Roy Krishna our best football player ever? Now 54% said yes. This week we're asking, should students involved in bullying face criminal charges? Be sure to visit our FBC website to answer. And our shot of the day was captured by Jeff Koroy in Savasavu Bay. And you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj, via Facebook page FBC News, our Twitter page at FBC_news, or simply hashtag FBC News. That was your news for tonight. From the team and I, stay safe. Good night.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.